Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Alex.Nunemaker Mortgage Podcast for the week of July 11th. Let's get right into the market news. In the market, we're seeing more indicators of a recession with the 2-year and the 10-year Treasury yields inverting, meaning that there's more appetite for short-term debt 2-year yield versus the long 10-year Treasury yields. So this has actually been a super reliable indicator of a recession and certainly something to keep an eye on. So fun fact on this, since 1900, the yield curve inverted 28 times and was followed by a recession 22 times. So all things are pointing towards a recession. One headline that your clients might be seeing is from a Redfin survey that stated that in the month of June, 14.9% of home sale contracts fell through, which sounds super scary, right? So I've had a couple clients reference this or say, hey, what do you think about this? So scary is good for publications and the media, but if you look at a chart, historically that number is normally between 12 to 15%. So it went up just from a low, but we're still within normal ranges. So, in fact, if you looked over the last 5 years, the only exception to that was in March and April of 2020 when the pandemic was first declared. So you kind of have to throw that number out. And even then, that monthly high was at 17.6%. So, is this a big deal? In my opinion, no. It's something to keep an eye on. But I think what we have here is a headline of someone looking for attention and looking for clicks. But I would love to hear back from you, see what you're seeing on the ground. Are you seeing more contracts fall through? Something to keep an eye on. And now your mortgage tip. So for my mortgage tip this week, I want to go back to the well and talk about credit scores for your client and why it's so important that they get pre-approved early. So when I talk to someone about maximizing their credit score, I think the main thing they think that I'm talking about is bad credit. How do I get someone with bad credit up to a minimum acceptable credit score? But maximizing credit is about everyone on the credit spectrum. And I'm going to give you a real world example that I had just this week. So I had someone who was hemming and hawing about turning in an application because they said they had good credit, they just didn't see the value of going through all this. But after explaining what pre-approval means, doesn't mean that they're committed to getting a loan. And some gentle prodding, by the way, from a realtor partner, which I really appreciated. They finally submitted their documents to me, and sure enough, yeah, they did have good credit. They were in the ballpark of like 720. But I have tools that can take someone from good to excellent. So I ran an analysis, and there were some smaller credit cards that this client could pay off, and they were going to anyway. And just by doing that, they were going to go from a 720 to above a 760. Now, what does that mean for this client in particular? Where they were putting 10% down, which meant that they were paying PMI, or private mortgage insurance. And if their current score, they would pay about $170 a month. But after getting them rescored, which only took a couple days, their PMI payment went down to just over $70 a month. So they save $100 a month just by paying off credit cards that they were going to be paying off anyway. And because they got to me early enough, I could run that analysis. So if you hear of a client who's dragging their feet on getting pre-approved because they think that they're good, well, they might be right, but we don't just want good if I can get them to great. Finally, the quote of the week. This week's quote comes from Les Brown. A setback is a setup for a comeback. So maybe you're feeling down, or you took a step back in your business or from a personal goal or where you want to be. That's okay. There's no better time to recommit and make your comeback. If I can help you or your clients with any questions or pre-approvals, let me know. They can visit me at homeloanswithalex.com. Have a great week.